I am hoping you guys can all see my screen. Had a little bit of a technical hiccup, so we're slightly late. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, we are at a little bit past the top of the hour. And hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you may be located. And thank you so much for tuning in today. We have such an insightful webinar for you all. I'm Emma Spellman, marketing manager here at Terrafina, an NCR Voyix company. And today we will be delving into how Citadel Credit Union has prioritized small business needs and has done an exceptional job doing so, along with its partnership with Terrafina. And with us, we have Courtney Rowan, VP of Digital Experience at Citadel Credit Union. And there we go. Courtney, I just wanted to extend a huge thank you to you for joining on. We're so excited to hear from you, and we're so excited to hear your story. So thank you, Courtney.
Very excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and to give a brief bio on you, Courtney is a 25-year vet in the banking industry. Courtney spent time watching technology and fintech change the business repeatedly, and her passion lies in learning how to capitalize on all that technology brings to the industry to deliver hyper-personalized and optimized digital experiences. So Courtney, before we dive in and I hand it over, I wanted to set the tone and discuss the small business banking landscape today. In the What's Going On in Banking 2024 Cornerstone Report, it was found that 3/4 of banks are focusing on growing small business deposits today, and nearly a half of credit unions are focusing on growing small business deposits. So it's an area that FIs find worthy to grow this year. And small businesses are looking for advice on how to best financially operate. For example, these customers want to know how to increase their credit. They want to know how to avoid banking fees. They want to know where to spend money and where they can save money to further grow their business. They're looking for self-service technologies so that they can conduct banking services on their own time. And a financial brand study found that they're relying more heavily on digital channels than ever. And they've also found, this study found that branch bankers actually have a knowledge disconnect with SMB customers because they do spend more time with retail customers. So it's found that digital onboarding tools have actually bridged that gap and have helped teach bankers how to best service these customers, and have also provided an improved banking experience for these customers. And so with that, Courtney, do you mind giving an overview on Citadel Credit Union? And if you could, please go into how Citadel Credit Union has attracted small businesses today.
Sure. Thank you. And thanks again for having me today. I'm excited to share our story. So a little brief intro on Citadel. We opened in 1937. We moved to a community charter in 1986. We originally opened in 37. We were for the Steelworkers Union here we're right outside of Philadelphia, so in that area. We now serve the greater Philadelphia 5-county area in the Delaware Valley. We're one of the largest locally owned financial institutions in greater Philadelphia. We're the 4th largest credit union in Pennsylvania and are in the top 100 in the country. As many credit unions today, we deliver a full range of financial services, expert guidance, and innovative tools. We're currently a bit over $5 billion in assets. So as it relates to businesses, previously, we only offered business loans, commercial and small business. We did, however, host business accounts via our consumer platform and our core. A lot of the smaller mom and pops that we had opened just through the years. And it was a clear recognition, both desire from those members that they kept asking, hey, we really want to do fully robust small business accounts with you guys. We love the loan services that you were offering. In addition, of course, from a credit union perspective, we knew that there was a huge opportunity for us to capitalize that in the small business community. At their core, credit unions generally, we exist to invest back in our local communities, better rates, returns, and overall access to market-leading financial products and solutions. So for Citadel, we want to consistently create products and evolve our services and technology with the member at the center of every decision. And of course, the guiding force that aligns perfectly is small business banking, because parallel to credit unions, they dedicate contributions toward healthy communities, and small businesses do the same. We're the backbone of these local areas. So it was perfect alignment for us to really delve into this area. It all centers around emboldening the communities that we exist in, right? So in early, I would say to mid 2021, we made a decision to really go all in and create a business banking strategy to support our community. It was an all hands org-wide engagement to create excellent experiences, to really broaden out from commercial and small business loans into a deposit product structure, merchant services, payroll, ACH, business credit cards. And part of that was, of course, knowing we had to nail the digital experience to ensure the brand excellence and meet these folks where they were and across all channels. Small businesses are no different than consumers in terms of how they want to engage, right, with their banking. They want the digital experience the same. They want us to eliminate the pain points. And today's day and age, it's just a simple expectation. So you can't fail there.
Great. And with that, how has Terrafina enhanced Citadel's small business offering?
So we know, as many of you know, that journey matters, right? We really wanted to reinvent the digital and employee experiences for opening these accounts while we were under the hood adding all of these new products and services to our suite. So we spent cycles working together as a team to define requirements and consider each scenario for business account opening. There are several different business types. Each of them come with their own set of expectations and requirements, documentation. So we wanted to make sure that wherever we were opening these, that the integrations were smooth, the experience was great, and it was easy, not only for the members, but also for the employees. There's a lot of efficiencies that we wanted to make sure were gained in doing that. We'll probably get into that a little bit more on how we've leveraged Terrafina to help us get there. But as a guiding principle, we knew that these were elements of why we wanted to bring this to light. So we looked at how we're going to integrate with our core platform, our online and mobile banking platform. Who's our documentation partner? Of course, KYB and KYC. And if we had to capture signatures for documentation, all of this had to be part of the experience seamlessly. Then, of course, we delved into each account type. We considered items like owners and signers, the documents they had to bring along, how we were going to capture that information, process time, what would approvals look like. Then we said, well, what channels are important to us? Certainly digital. What are the expectations that each business type and owner has in that channel? And then if they come in person or over the phone or video, which is another channel that we leverage, how does that conversation and interaction take place with those employees as they're working with a member or prospect? Again, the ease of use, engaging for both parties, and we wanted it to be more conversational. We wanted to get away from the data entry where you're just stuck taking information back and forth, right? That's not building a relationship. So once we kind of defined all of that, we also wanted to make sure what is important to us to measure, not only from overall sales and conversion, but also could we get the right metrics on the funnels and attributions, right? Because the other side of this is we're going to be doing some marketing. This was a new area for us, and we wanted to make sure we were getting it right. So we wanted to ensure we had metrics that could align back. So making sure that we integrated our analytics and with the reporting from the partner we chose, which was, of course, Terrafina. So all of these elements came into how we built this journey out, and really led us to launch an experience that worked really well on both ends of that spectrum. So of course, the next thing was, now we have to go build it, right? We wrote all the requirements. Well, so what does this look like when we start to really build the experience out? We did a lot of user testing. I can't stress enough to folks, if you're doing this today, kudos. And if you're not, I would highly recommend it. We do this for a lot of our experiences that we roll out, especially in our digital funnels. And that allowed us to iterate and modify the funnel as needed, really based on qualitative feedback and quantitative. So we got both sides to make sure it was easy to do, but also what did it feel like to the person going through, whether that was on the digital end from a consumer and how I was entering and getting through the funnel, or as a employee when I'm trying to get the information through, again, moving away from data entry into a more conversational approach so that they could cross-sell and upsell and also just understand the needs of the business prospect that was in front of them. Second thing is you have to test. I can't say this enough. Over and over, we modified, and all that feedback was identified not only to fix anything that we found that was a bug or just didn't feel right, but also training. There was so much opportunity for us as we shifted from our native core backend to open these accounts to Terrafina that we wanted to make sure that we had the right support system in place. I think everybody knows change is painful, right? And we didn't want anyone to get captured in this space of didn't want to engage this. We wanted everyone all in. So having that information to help us define our training plan was really important as well. And as you'll see, as we go into sort of the result side, all of these elements came together to really drive a lot of achieved growth. And there was a lot of efficiencies in the platform for each channel that allowed us to do this through the onboarding process. Again, it really allowed us to focus more on the member business needs versus spending time working in the system, meticulously collecting data point after data point and aligning between the experiences for all the channels. This has also led to really strong retention and the customer sat among this member base. So all of these things sort of come together to build this experience, and we're definitely seeing a lot of positive outcomes as a result. So if you take a look at really what this means to the bottom line, right? Our loan portfolio and deposit portfolio increased. We launched in 2022 in August. So this was sort of the first year in 2023. I'm sorry, the bottom is since launch in total, but even in that first year, we saw increases. And then if you look at the total since launch, our loans increased 37% and deposit portfolio increased 35%. Now it's interesting, right? Because we launched the deposit funnel with Terrafina, but there's such a strong symbiotic relationship between the loans and the deposits. Going back to the top of the discussion, we started with loans. We had a business base that existed for loans. Everyone told us they wanted this. We wanted this. And together, they're really increasing everything that we need. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see, and I think everybody on this call knows today, it's low cost of funds deposit concentration. We're all sitting in this pretty volatile rate environment right now, right? Where the NIM is really closing in and we're trying to make sure that we right size. And so from a business deposit concentration, we really said, hey, we want to do this in a way that attracts the checking accounts and the savings that not only help the consumers, but also make us stable so that we can continue offering these products and services. So to have 46% of low cost of funds concentration is a huge win for us and for the members.
Great. Thank you, Courtney. And with that, we've allowed plenty of time for questions to make it as interactive for you guys as possible. So if you have any, put it in the Q&A section. I'm going to stop sharing so I could take a look and see if there's any questions here. All right, here is first one here. Courtney, can you share any info about the operational efficiencies Citadel has gained since implementing SMB onboarding with Terrafina in branch?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about it already, but it really is about the consultative approach. So prior to launching this, our employees were dealing with paper checklists and also vetting which documents were needed for which business type. And it's not something that our employees are doing every single day, right? I think you mentioned at the top, Emma, how obviously consumer is just a higher volume. So that's typically what their day-to-day is. So when they had a business account, they didn't want to have that experience suffer just because, they're not doing it as often. And so this took the guessing game out of that side of the equation for the employee and allowed them to drive the account conversations. Again, relationship building versus data entry, peace of mind for them so they felt more comfortable, and also ensuring that they're meeting the requirements and being able to focus on the right thing. I would say it probably took the time down to process by a half hour at least, because again, they're not searching everywhere to kind of find this information. It was through the workflow that we built. And so it just allowed them to naturally go through and have that conversation with the business. And then obviously open the account and then pivot to focus on, okay, now how do we get you enrolled in online banking? And are you interested in merchant services? And just driving that conversation deeper.
Great. And then how does Citadel vet fintech partners? What do you primarily look for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say generally we look for partners, not vendors. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody, especially in the credit union world, that we tend to be partner heavy. Usually it's just the way our business model works with the resources that we have available to us versus some of the big guys in the space, right? So it's partners versus vendors, but also scalability and thought leadership. We really want to look for someone that has proven experience in this space, and also has additional trusted partners and a great client sheet, right? We want to make sure that the folks that we choose really know their space better than us because we want to learn from them. Our thought is, hey, you guys should be one step ahead of us so that we're never stuck behind. We want to latch on to the best practices that are being rolled out, so that when we're in the space that we're playing in, we know that we're right there with the bigger competitors.
Great. There's one here. Can you share any examples of manual processes that you were able to streamline using the solution?
Oh, yes. So a couple of big ones. I did mention when we initially stood it up, we had a lot of folks, when it came to business type, again, because they weren't doing this every day, the information to find out what was needed per each business type was manually retrieved in a whole other system. So it wasn't just that they didn't have it right in front of them. It was now I have to log into this other system, whether that was, I think it was our learning system. It was stored elsewhere. So that took that piece right out of it. Also funding. So prior to having Terrafina, when folks would go to fund, we did not have the option to do an ACH right there in the process or a credit or debit card funding right there. So that would have to happen after the account was opened. We would have to walk them over to a teller station or take them to an ATM to pull cash out, which, pretty awkward when you're sitting there in front of and you're at the bank. So being able to have this come into the workflow and have it right in front of them created a very smooth experience. I would say the other side is paperwork, right? Most things we can do digitally. So being able to leverage DocuSign and use our SIG pads to capture that versus printing out the paper, capturing that, and then you have to scan it in. So all of these were pieces of the efficiency play that we're able to pull back in as a workflow, that made the process really smooth and fast, for both the employee and the business applicant.
Great. And how is the implementation process with Terrafina?
I will say it's extremely efficient. I've done a lot of these, as you heard. I've been in the business a while, and one of the best things we've experienced with Terrafina is the approach to implementation. They come with a playbook, and all the elements that are needed are there, so we can meticulously address them, and they're accounted for, and allowed us to really have a core team to drive major decisions and the process, but also the ability to tap SMEs for specific areas as we touch them versus having 20 execs sitting around a table to drive it. As you can imagine, this also led to speed to market. because without the concern for those missing items, going back to thought leadership, right? They brought all that with them. I'd also say Terrafina was really good about pushing us, right? They knew the best practices. So they questioned us a lot on our approach to try and break us out of the way of, hey, well, that's the way we've always done it. It was a lot of, well, why are you doing it that way? Have you considered this? And so that allowed us to get a little bit more nimble and inject a lot of these digital efficiencies that we probably weren't even thinking of before. I would imagine we came into it was, let's take it from here and move it here equal. And they were like, no, 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 we're going to do this the most efficient way possible because the platform then allows you to do that. So overall, one of the better experiences I've had implementing a partner.
Great. That's great to hear. And when you spoke with references using Terrafina, was there anything specifically that caught your attention?
Yeah, I think a lot of things that we talked about, but I think the standout pieces were they will make your employees' job easier, which who doesn't want to hear that, right? Um, of course, bottom line, the products per member were increasing. So one thing I didn't mention earlier in speaking through the process, but Terrafina's platform brings a cross-sell piece of it. So if when you're building it, you can say, hey, if a member chooses product X, we should probably be recommending Y and Z. And before, that's of course part of the conversation. But I think when you're sitting with a member or a prospect and you're going through and it's presented to you in a very easy and systemic way, it just makes that conversation more efficient. So as a result, we're seeing more products. We were told that they were seeing more products per member, and we also saw that. Certainly the efficiencies and the overall processing time, and also the delivery cycle is agile. So it's very quick to roll out code. We've talked to a few references that gave us that information. And obviously that's something we also want to be on top of is just, hey, how quickly can you iterate and get us the newest version, et cetera, et cetera. So those were probably the four biggest standouts. And we talked to several partners around, okay, they should definitely be in our consideration set.
Right. Got one here. For small business account opening, are you marketing for new accounts on the website or publicly, or are you primarily using digital account opening as a resource to facilitate a better process for your staff and their relationship clients?
Both. So when we first went to market, we eased in a little bit, but now when we launched, the day we launched, we absolutely took a lot of time in tandem to build our website business space out. So if you go to our website today, you'll see there's a personal and business space that was absolutely intentional. We built out a ton of content to support that, and added on all the specific features. We also ensured that we had an online and mobile banking platform that was built specifically for the business end users, both existing as we transition them, and then obviously to onboard. We do market. We look at things like in our area, Philadelphia Business Journal. We do some digital marketing. We are now starting to get into the space of doing more incentive-based offers, whether that's business credit cards or in the checking account space, because we do offer an elite checking product along more of I don't want to say smaller, but more for like the sole props, but for the higher end folks. We want to make sure that we're getting in front of the right groups. Also looking at specific business types. So do we focus on, say, healthcare or retail trade and understanding what makes the most sense for Citadel? But we are actively doing that in tandem with, yes, absolutely leveraging the digital experience to drive that to onboard those accounts once they come in the front door.
Great. And do you have anything planned next with Terrafina?
We do. So right now we are considering branch deposit opening for the consumer side. We have only digital today, and that was purposeful. The efficiencies that we've seen on the business side, having the employee and the digital opening available, are evident that we need to do that for the consumer side as well. There's a little bit of a disparate systems happening there, and it's creating just conundrums if people start and open an account online and then they maybe have to finish in an office or on phone, etc. So we want to make sure that omni-channel experience is broadened. And also we are looking into how we onboard our consumer lending. And so that is an area that we've been in discussion with Terrafina to understand. Again, one of the reasons we chose them was scalability to create this full end-to-end front-end experience. And so that's an area of interest to us as well as we look into the future here.
Great. And is your process for customer due diligence built into Terrafina, or is it separate?
It is built in. That's an excellent question. So Terrafina was able to set up workflows per business type. So if you're a sole prop or an LLC, et cetera, we support everything that we could open in the Terrafina system. And then the due diligence questions ride in tandem with that. So you can get as expansive or not, depending on what you're onboarding. They are all built in and also allows them to upload documents securely, which is fantastic. We wanted to get away from people trying to email us some of that stuff. So it really allows a system to be able to capture all of those things. And for compliance reasons, obviously puts us in a fantastic spot. So yes, absolutely.
Great. And as we let some more questions trickle in, I want to let everyone know that you will be receiving the recording after this webinar and the presentation. So that will be available to you afterwards. We got a question here. Is it too much to build out consumer and business platforms at the same time with Terrafina? Do you recommend separate projects?
Yes, I do recommend separate. We did ours separately. Yes, it's efficient, but it's still a lot, right? Because you're tying in not only to your core systems, but you want to make sure that all of your boxes are checked. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of resources in-house. And I think for efficiency and sanity, I would absolutely recommend doing them separate. They could be fast followers to each other because the things that you do in one will influence the other in terms of all these integrations. I think once you have the quote pipes laid, right, it's a lot easier to say, okay, we've got the connections to the core for products X, Y, and Z. Now we're going to build out the same thing in business, although the lanes might be slightly different. So there's definitely an approach there that says do them separately. But if you know you want to do both, I would think about how you might sequence that to get it to market faster. One thing I will tell you that we did business, digital, and employee at the same time. That was absolutely fine. Versus we did consumer digital only. Again, that was purposeful at the time. I think depending on your workforce size, that is something you might want to consider either doing in tandem or separate, because at that point, it's really about just upskilling a ton of folks into the platform and using it. And depending on what you're on now, that change could be a little bit drastic. So I think if you have the resources to do it that way, it could behoove you because there are things that are happening. Like I said, in the omni-channel, it's a little disparate right now on the consumer side. And we saw that when we did it both. The volume's not as high, so it wasn't as a challenge, but something to consider as you roll out those for the branch versus digital plays in both of those areas.
Great. We got one more here, unless there's any others, but this one's a great one to wrap up on. What are your credit union's top goals for 2024? And how does the Terrafina solution help you achieve those goals?
Yes. Well, like I said, like every other FI, we're certainly looking to grow our low cost of fund deposits and focusing on acquisition by optimizing what we have in play today and creating just exceptional experiences for members, both in the business and consumer side, especially in the rate environment we're all living in, right? We're also heavily focused on transformation, especially in the acquisition space. We're really looking at the full journey for prospects and existing members and how they grow their relationship with us. And of course, technology is such a huge part of that. It's more than that, but the technology side is so important. So as part of that, we're actually in talks right now with Terrafina to even look at, hey, we went live with consumer in, I think it was 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, which was great for us because we needed a digital optimized way for people to open accounts. But we're saying, hey, what's the next iteration now, right? Like, how can we make tweaks to get even better? So all of those are coming together in a nice package for us to do some changes in the Terrafina platform, which I should say has been great too. They're really open, they understand, and they work with you really well to say, hey, here's some ideas on that, or here's what we've done for other FIs, or hey, that's new. We'll look to build that out for you and do some check-ins on the requirements. So all of that is sort of happening right now, it's a very exciting time to be here, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wait, this one's probably the best last question, positive one to end on. What's been the biggest win for your implementation?
So I would say increased funding by 350% after we were live for 6 months. And also, when we first launched, we said, hey, we're going to increase digital checking accounts by 50%. Put my stake in the ground on that. Wasn't sure if I should have, but we hit it and we blew past it. We were 54% within 6 months in growth. So results speak, right? That they were huge wins for us. And again, I can't speak enough about the efficiencies that we gain from having these in play. So all around, lots of wins for going this route with Terrafina for Citadel.
Great. Great. And there's a couple more questions that we'll get back to you on via email. And again, if you have any further questions, please reach us at sales.terrafina@ncrvoix.com. Courtney, thank you so much for being on again. We really appreciate your time, and this was super insightful. I hope everyone enjoyed. And if you guys want more peer webinars, please let us know, because that's in the books for the rest of the year. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much again for having me. Have a great one.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.